The biggest threat to the gates of hell is a man of God. So the devil will stop at nothing to destroy a man who is fully committed to following Christ. In this video, we're going to break down the devil's playbook, and he only runs 3 plays, and he usually runs them in the exact same order. But if you're not aware of them and you're not ready for them, he will bring you down every single time. All right, so the first play that the devil always runs on a man of God is doubt. And we read about this in Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 19. Nehemiah is rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem, and some adversaries named Sanballat and Tobiah come against him. And this is the very first time he hears from them, and this is what they say. It says, "But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official and Geshem the Arab heard of it, they laughed at us and despised us, saying, 'What is this thing that you are doing? Will you rebel against the king?'" So the very first thing they do is cast doubt in Nehemiah's heart. They say, "What are you doing? What is this massive feat that you're trying to accomplish? And do you really think you're going to rebel against the king?" And guys, this is always the first way the devil will try and stop you, because if he can make you stop trying to overcome that sin before you even start trying to overcome it, he's won. That's game over, right? So the first thing he wants to do is put doubt in your heart so that you do not even embark on the quest that God has put in front of you. What's the first thing that we see Satan tell Eve in the garden? Did God really say? Doubt is the number one and first way that the devil will try to keep you from doing what God has called you to do. And even if you do sort of push through the doubt, if he can just take away your confidence, you'll move through the rest of your calling, not ever having your feet fully under you, never being sure-footed, never being able to truly run, always walking and tiptoeing because you have this doubt in your heart that you haven't fully overcome. Now, if doubt doesn't work, the devil always resorts to damage. He's going to try and physically stop you from doing the thing that God has called you to do. Because if doubt's not going to work, if he can't stop you before you get started, then he's got to stop you while you're going. And that's where he's going to try and damage you. And we read about this in Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 7. Sanballat and Tobiah, again, the same 2 adversaries, here's the next thing they try. After that doubt doesn't work, here's what they try. It says, "Now it happened when Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabs, the Ammonites, and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were being restored and the gaps were being closed, that they became very angry, and they conspired to come together and attack Jerusalem and create confusion." So they said, okay, it didn't work. They actually started building the wall. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to actually physically attack them. And so they come up with this plot. Now, luckily, this plot gets told to Nehemiah. And Nehemiah, to counter this, tells all of his builders on the wall to build with a hammer in one hand and a sword in the other. Because Nehemiah knew if they come, we're going to be ready for them. So the attack was thwarted and it didn't work. Now, Satan can try and do this in a lot of ways to men of God. The first thing that he'll try and attack is probably your family. If you have anybody that you're responsible for, that's where Satan goes first. Just like in all the movies, right? The bad guy can't come right at the hero of the story because he's too strong. But what the bad guy can do is go capture someone the hero loves and use that as leverage. And that's exactly what the enemy will try and do to stop you from doing what God's called you to do. So you have to be prayed up. You have to be going to war spiritually for those who you've taken responsibility for. The next thing that the enemy will try and destroy is your reputation. If you're prayed up and you're guarding your family and those you've taken responsibility for, the next thing he'll try and do is frame you. He'll frame you in the eyes of people around you, in your community, even to people inside your family, but he's going to try and destroy your actual reputation, because if he can cut that out from under you, you have nothing to stand on. But the Bible teaches us that the Lord guards our reputation, so do not be afraid. Continue building with the sword in one hand and a hammer in the other. The work of God must not stop. Now, if none of these things work, if he can't cause you to doubt, he can't stop you before you actually begin, and he can't actually physically stop you because the Lord is your guard, and because you're smart and you're building with a sword in one hand and a hammer in the other, you're ready for him, the very last and most deadly thing that he will do is try to distract you. Because Satan is incredibly good at cutting his losses. He doesn't need you to stop doing the work completely. He's more than happy to let you do what God has called you to do, as long as you're maybe just doing it at 70%. And then maybe later he'll try and distract you down to 60% or distract you down to 50%. And he will more than settle for that, because a distracted Christian is a non-issue for him. A focused Christian, though, is deadly. Do you remember the parable that Jesus told about the seed that went into the field and the birds would come and steal it away? Well, a lot of the time, we as guys, we have these big moments with God where we're filled up to overflowing, right? We have this big Holy Spirit moment or this big vision moment. We're excited about what's coming. We're excited about Jesus. And then the distractions of life or the birds of the air or the riches of this world, all those different things that Jesus talks about in that parable come and they take that away. And remember, the devil doesn't care if you have big spikes with the Lord. He doesn't care that you get super close with God. As long as you come back down, and as long as the times down are roughly equal to the times up, he can look at the big picture and say, well, over the course of this guy's life, he was about a net zero because he was never able to gain momentum in his relationship with God. And this is his playbook. I challenge you to look at your life and try and find an instance where the devil deviated from this playbook. There may be some, but 9 times out of 10, the first thing you're going to face as a man, anytime you try and overcome a sin or pursue something God has called you to do, is doubt. You're going to think you can't do it. The second thing you're going to face is the actual physical obstacles that come along with doing anything, like overcoming an addiction or starting something new that God's put on your heart. And then the last thing, once you push through both of those, the last temptation is distraction. The devil will just try and minimize the effect that you can have on this world. So these are the 3 ways that Satan targets men of God. Watch out for him, guys, and don't forget to build with a sword in one hand and a hammer in the other so that you can keep doing the Lord's work. If you like this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and as always, smash the like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this and some ways that Satan has tried to stop you and how you overcame it. Thank you guys for being here. I'll see you next time.